is going to be the winners finals. It is going to be the Team Sucky Vacuums against Bork, which we're actually going to get the map picks for now, picks and bans. This is where it's still going to be 2 out of 3. We're going to move into 3 out of 5 for the grand finals, but this is going to be essentially a normal match. Yeah, and the comps for these teams, I expect to stay relatively what we've seen.
Yeah, and surprisingly enough, Fort is actually going to be the first map being banned out, followed up by Harbor City. And we know that, not too many teams love playing on that Harbor City. We got to see it, I think twice in our matches yesterday, but it does still remain to be one of the highest banned maps, I would say, overall. But Fort is the one that's surprising me the most.
Yeah, I feel like we don't usually see flack for it, but it looks like, okay, this is all backwards, 100% backwards. We see that maybe one of the most picked maps banned immediately and one of the most banned maps picked immediately, which is going to be Ministry of Defense. We have not seen that a single time on the broadcast this time around. We saw it one time at the very final, deciding match for the previous tournament, Halloween Havoc, but this is a very rare map. And then afterwards, we're going to go to a considerably less rare map, which is going to be that Mountain R&D lab.
Yeah, I mean, we started a lot of matches yesterday with Mountain R&D, but again, that big surprise. Fort getting banned and followed up by Ministry of Defense being the first map pick. And so that's absolutely surprising. I mean, there's so many things to talk about when it comes to Ministry of Defense. That one time that we got to talk about it last for Halloween Havoc wasn't enough to really talk about the depth that comes down to this gameplay. I mean, for a destruction map, this is a completely different destruction map than what you would see on something like Quarry, because again, when Quarry, you start off, right, fighting for that waypoint. Ministry of Defense, that first waypoint is more of an option for the offensive side.
Yeah, this is, I would say, the most unique of its type of map, right? Like you said, you can totally, I've seen so many times where even good teams will completely take the first point without taking the waypoint even like a single time, or, it gets taken back and they're like, we don't really care because we already planted. So it really is a really tough decision, honestly, on both sides, right? Odds defense, do you defend the waypoint or do you just let them have the waypoint? Because they're so close anyway that sometimes you send people over to defend the waypoint. By the time you do that, half your team gets wiped on the actual point and then they plant and then it's very hard to defend. But, a lot of times we do see teams stick right on the point and just defend on the point. And there's just so many ways that the enemy team can come from. That's what makes it really difficult. There's a lot of really open shots. There's not a lot of really good safe angles. There's some underground kind of, I want to say, under the building where the first A and B points are. There's some a little bit further back, but overall the reason why we barely see this map is because it can be very chaotic and it's very hard to set a set strategy like we see, for example, like you said, on Quarry, where it's like, okay, they're pushing through middle to this first waypoint. We know exactly which direction they're coming from. We know exactly the two choke points they can come from, the stairs and the front area, I don't know what to call it, and we're just going to watch those two. This one, it's like they could come from the main entrance, they could come from the side with the waypoint, they can come from the side on the I don't know where the building is, where the platform is up a little bit higher. They can fly over if they have flyers, and there's a bunch of different directions they could fly over, so it's not like we're just going to sit up and just watch one particular angle just in case anybody flies over. It's very chaotic. And then you get to the second set of points and you're like, okay, now it's a completely different game where we have a bunch of indoor spots than very close-up spots. And so we tend to see, well, maybe not always if you have a really high meta team, but there are a lot of times where you see some not full, but half squad changes when you get to the second points. And then the distances are different as well. It's just all very chaotic.
Yeah, and I think in this particular map, we did get to see, I believe it was Carl Sagan, picking up that Turn 8 Gundam, and I think it's going to be another crucial pick, especially for this map. We got to see why on destruction maps it's so good on the offense. On the post plant, it's such a good defensive post plant unit to be using. So I fully expect Carl Sagan to pull that one out, but also on the same side for Bork to pick that one up as well. And when it comes to the first half of the map, I mean, that's kind of going to necessitate having to plant on that A side, on that top side for that first half, just because it's easier to get the sight lines if you're coming in for the respawns to try and get that collateral damage out with the Turn 8 Gundam, and transitioning into the second half because of the indoor qualities of both of the plant sites. You're able to just fly over it with that Turn 8 Gundam G maneuver to really just delay and basically win a team fight out in its own. So I think this is going to be another map where we're going to see a lot of presence coming out from the Turn 8.
Yeah, I could very much see that, especially on the first point. That's a site where I actually see a lot of people even like switch to Gem Sniper if they do get the waypoints, just to be able to defend once they've actually planted. You can see right here, this is the A, and the waypoint's right over there that's left up the ramp. So you can spawn, walk literally like one jump away, and then you can see where the bomb is planted. And so even if people come over to try to fight you, you can kind of retreat back to your spawn. There's a bunch of people by you, and it's very, very hard to disarm on A. But let's see which, well, first of all, we'll see who it suits everybody's picking, and we do see actually the Gem Sniper. So this might be Carl Sagan on it. Actually, I don't know if they're locked into this. There's still 20 seconds left. We do see a Mahiru. That would be very surprising.
Yeah, if they decide to maybe try and go and plant down on B side, the Mahiru can be really good, but no, he's going to swap off, and it looks like it's going to be fairly mirrored compositions coming up from either side. I don't believe they were running the Gem Sniper for Team Sucky Vacuums, but it's going to be Bork here on the offense first. And now, that big question, are they going to try and play for that waypoint? It looks like there is some presence coming out from the defensive end, but it's going to be a kind of split up defense here. You can see one player controlling that right lane that you were talking about for that high ground, while the rest of the team actually backs away to try and put a stop to any push coming in, and they are going to fight over the waypoint.
All right, yeah, we are gonna hold this kind of middle ground. This is another kind of usual spot. It just comes in immediately, and Zim goes down. Of course, one of the most ridiculous Pale Rider players that we've seen in this entire series. But already you can see this fight's happening in about 3 different places. We're gonna see, in fact, the Ashmar go down, and this is just why this map is so chaotic. You can see it's just a bunch of little skirmishes.
Yeah, just backing away. They've already lost one. They want to regroup for themselves. They take that high ground now, but they're able to isolate out the Methus. Nox falls, and he gets finished off, but that's going to be a 1-for-1 exchange. The Exia finally going down, and so Team Sucky Vacuums will go ahead and reestablish themselves, but the waypoint is still there. We'll see if they can try and challenge for that right now. It looks like there are respawns already coming in for Team Bork, and Listic is able to find one more onto Kaki. That might actually create an opening for them to try and go in with the numbers advantage, try and find a little bit more. Bitey has gone down. You can see even charging forward with that Pale Rider, looking for a little bit, and there it is, the space to go ahead and take back that waypoint.
Yeah, this is a really heavily coordinated push to take back this waypoint. But the thing they have to worry about is that the other team is going to be spawning very, very close to the point. They have time to get back, but just barely. You can see there's already people that have a line of sight on the point. They're kind of running through that side, the building side, and that's what's so difficult about it. Like, if you coordinate to try to take that waypoint back, sometimes they just get there in time. They can sneak a plant with an Ashmar or a Methus, but great mobility and great coordination by Team Sucky Vacuum so far.
Exia with the Trans Am on in, but it's going to be Legacy picking up 2 with the Sazabi. And so now that push has been shut down. Throughout all of that, though, we do have Team Bork trying to capture themselves that waypoint. It doesn't look like for Team Sucky Vacuums, they are in position to try and challenge that. But again, it all just comes down to that one pick. That's what they were able to play off of last time, to try and go ahead and push that 6v5 advantage, to slow things down, to take over that waypoint and send them back to the original spawn.
Yeah, they're holding such great positions here, and then we see an attempted plant on B. It's not going to work out. They're going to be trading 1-for-1. The Legacy going down, and now Listic going down. So this could be a potentially really good opportunity for Team Bork, but they just need to find the right moment to plant, and that can be very, very difficult just because there are so many different angles that you can see these bombs from.
Yeah, again, it looks like this is fractured fights, right? Maybe 2 or 3 different fights taking place. A lot of duos just kind of running together with that wingman, but here we go. It looks like the Exia is ready to try and dash on in, misses out on that stun, but he's still trying to get into the middle of these 2 players, finds one knock, that healing pad coming down just a little bit too late, and he's going to secure the thirst before he gets out. He gets a nice armor gun to actually buy some time, get back to that mini health pack, and now he's ready if he wants to pop that Trans Am, but he is so low and he will not get out. Another nice hold coming out from Team Sucky Vacuums.
Yeah, name a more signature duo than Exia and Armor Gun. I don't think there's one in this game. That is the ultimate combo. But you could just, this is just ridiculous. This is honestly ridiculous. This has been a non-stop fight for the past like 2.5 minutes. There's just been no, nobody's stepping on the brakes at all. It is just 100%. That's the weirdness of this map, is that you spawn so close to the points on both sides. So you really have to get one coordinated big full push. You have to get one pick and then just continue with that momentum to get that plant, and then from there it can be very difficult. But they're not even getting close right now. They started one plant, but oh yeah, wow, that actually got a G maneuver kill.
Yeah, the Super Napalm actually coming in and finding one. It's going to be a 2-for-1 exchange, but it looks like finally Bork Gundam might have found an opening here. They get a plant down on that B site, which is a little bit scary here as the Exia comes on in, cleaning up a little bit more. Legacy has fallen, but the Hades is putting in work for the other side now. They might just be able to get the defuse. We'll see. The Mega Charge still counting down right now, getting that res, and now they'll get that disarm on the Mega Charge, and it looked like a great push, but we know the strength of that Hades and not this entire defense. Team Sucky Vacuums have been doing an amazing job of just holding on and playing disciplined with their G maneuvers.
Yeah, they ran into oh, okay, so it's just gonna push again. Well, this is a little bit of maybe almost too much aggression from the side, I think, of Bork Gundam. They are just pushing in non-stop in no particular order, and you can see that they're just getting kind of picked off one at a time here. They're just kind of walking in a row, and it is very difficult to find the right spot to approach here, but this is probably gonna be essentially a full team wipe, but by the time, of course, that, you know, all these suits are dead, they're just going to start respawning in nearly the same spot. And yeah, look at this, they're just rushing and they're just trying to find a moment. Of course, now there's no more time left. Will they get their single plan? It doesn't look like it, and that will be held at point A.
Yeah, that's a great map decision. It seems like coming out from Team Sucky Vacuums, it was their map choice, by the way, and you can see why. Their defense absolutely stellar, only 51.3% on that first Mega Charge plant for Bork Gundam. The Team Sucky Vacuums, they have a really good goalpost that they set up for themselves. Now, again, we'll see. I think with this kind of presence, with 51.3%, Team Sucky Vacuums might actually just go straight to the point and not even try and waste any time on that waypoint.
Yeah, that's really can be a very good strategy, especially because there are two lanes that go to the point already. Like, even if you just completely ignore the fact that there is a waypoint, that is one of the big strengths. Like, for example, when we see the second point on Quarry, the biggest advantage is that you do get two lanes by having that that available, that second spawn available. But this time there's already two lanes, so you're just giving yourself a third lane. And of course, it does spawn you a little bit closer, but not that much closer, as you can see on the map right there. So I do think a rush here, just right through the left side, could be a great choice. And I do want to say, we saw just a little bit of, again, the weirdness in this map. I think we see it a lot in most of the destruction maps, where one of the points is easier to plant at, but if it's easier to plant at, it's harder to defend once you've actually planted. And that's B here, right? Way less line of sights to B, but once they actually come back in and try to team wipe you, they can defuse a lot safer. A, if you can get that plant, which is very difficult, is one of the easiest, I would say, bomb sites in the entire game to defend once you actually, you know, get there, because you could just get like 20 different line of sights. But here we'll see if they can manage to plant it on anywhere. It almost doesn't even matter with this amount of time. We are going to see a little bit more of a forward defensive holding at the spawn, and that's a little bit scary. Maybe it's trying to build some meter, but no, actually trying to get some picks here, and they are going to get at least to Zim.
Yeah, but he should be able to respawn, and it looks like they're going to feign some interest over at this waypoint. They do actually get it down, and that might just be in time for his respawn as they try to charge forward. But that Ashmar puts in so much work there as they charge forward. Yeah, Tism is instantly, as he gets respawned in, is able to get that first knock. Now might be able to find a little bit more. They are absolutely staggered on the Bork defense here, and they are chasing them down, cleaning them up before they get that bomb plant down. The Mega Charge, it looks like they are feigning for that A site, as Carl Sagan does end up going down. They want to clear up this Exia first because he is a general threat. Having that stun, they'll have the big body of the Suzabi just to walk him down, and they are chasing him down 2v1. He's still somehow alive. Exponent gets out, actually finds a pick on Talistic throughout all of this, but he gets his pack stolen.
Okay, you can only run away from the entire enemy team for so long. It was a very valiant attempt, did a lot of damage, delayed them a really long time, but we'll see if that amount of time that's delayed is going to matter. We are getting, oh, very nice. We're going to see the Pale Rider from behind. That's going to be Tazim going down, and we are going to prevent the plant for at least a few more seconds, but with this many people on point, eventually the plant is going to go off on B. They only need about half the time, and they do have a pretty solid numbers advantage here.
And no one has back capped that waypoint quite yet. And so now, as the time ticks away, there's only 18 seconds remaining. Tism gets brought back into this game as Moist ends up falling on that Bork side. And it looks like it might just be a foregone conclusion. Team Sucky Vacuums now on the verge of taking our first map in this best of 3 in the winners finals.
Yeah, they're holding all the right angles. Just behind those boxes can be very difficult to hit. And like you said, that is going to be that. And so much of it was, honestly, it was really funny. You pointed it out. They immediately picked off Tazim, but then Tazim kind of like spawned further forward than he was going to, right? Like he immediately spawned at the waypoint. It was like, oh, you kind of actually just like gave him a boost of movement. And that's another really difficult thing about holding so far forward on this map, is that it can really backfire if you, because people spawn behind you, or they can spawn in front of you, or even if they die, they spawn like so close. So it's a weird map. Totally understand why it's usually banned. It takes a very unique strategy, but if you're really good at this map, as we can see right there, it can be a very dominant and quick map if you have your strategies ready, your other team doesn't. And clearly there was some knowledge there that they're like, okay, we're better at this map than the opponent.
Yeah, I mean, it did come down to just that understanding of what happens. If you try to push that left side, that leaves them a little bit overextended or undermanned on that right side. So you saw an instant pivot, right? Tism ended up going down on the left. They quickly go to the right to take that waypoint on over. And like you said, he gets that forward spawn, gets brought right back on in. But it was the Astromars from either sides really being able to connect with their fire there and following up damage with that Pale Rider. Again, we're seeing why the Pale Rider is still just basically 100% pick rate throughout all of our matches. It's just such consistent damage and one of the highest DPS in the game.
And one of the highest healing in the game too, which is what we were talking about earlier, which is really funny, but it's true, quite honestly. Also, we saw a good use of we don't get to see all the time, right, of the grenade, the slowing grenade, which I can't actually remember the name of, EMP grenade or something like that. And it's not used all that often, but you do have the ability to like hit an Exia with it. It can be one of the main ways that you can stop it from escaping all the situations that it really wants to escape from. We see it a lot, of course, against some of the melee suits if they are within that range, but we're not getting as many melee suits right now. So if you can't hit on that Exia, it can be a game changer. Of course, we did see that amazing chase sequence. We should have added some Benny Hill music there of the Exia V4 just running for its life for about 20 seconds. And honestly, that was almost a really good delay, but not quite enough. And honestly, a very surprisingly strong first match. Both of these teams, I think they have just basically nobody stood up to them the entire time. It's been just clean 2-0s the entire way through. I expected this to be a relatively close set, and it still could be. It might be map unfamiliarity. We are going to go to a much more familiar map now, but that was pretty dominant.
Yeah, Mountain R&D, I feel like this is basically when we swap off and we might actually see the Sazabi coming out from the Bork side. I don't know if they actually ran Sazabi at all yesterday, but with how strong that our team Sucky Vacuums are running with that standard composition, basically exactly what we saw coming out during Halloween Havoc, that Bork might want to try and adopt that as well, because they need a little bit more HP, because it's not going to be as easy to punch through, right? Again, he was doing an amazing job, I would say, Legacy, on that Sazabi. He was very rarely going down on that map. I mean, granted, it was a short one, right? With, I think, total match time of like 6 minutes or something like that. But he was doing a fantastic job as that Sazabi on a map that particularly sometimes can be a little bit difficult to play because of the long sight lines.
Yeah, of course, we've talked about the two players from Team Sucky Vacuums a good amount we've talked about one of them a good amount is what I was going to say. We've talked about Carl Sagan a lot, the two of the kind of original Team Sucky Vacuums players, but we haven't actually talked about Legacy all that much. Of course, an extremely strong player. I think that the original Legacy team may have been the first players to hit Newtype. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure. I do remember running into them on ranked, and it was matching me up as a silver against them because they were just nobody. They climbed too fast, and I remember being super salty. They were like, GG's, as they camped us in our spawn, and I was like, no offense to you, but not at all. I was so salty, but it was great. It was great to like experience that and actually fight against these good players. And I'm like, oh, this is how the game's supposed to be played. But yeah, very, very well known. Of course, they were the winners of the very first tournament in this series, the Pilot Showdown. Of course, that was with them too, with 4 other different players. But this time around with their ridiculous all-star team, it's just great to see Legacy and Carl Sagan back. Of course, we keep hearing that Carl Sagan clip. And these two are they're so legendary. And I'm glad that they are continuing to be legendary.
I mean, of course, his name is basically written in the stars, right, with a name like Carl Sagan. So you will not ever forget the name, and definitely not here in Gundam Evolution. I'm glad to see, we're still seeing like the evolving gameplay of him, right? I mean, we got to see, of course, a lot of Zaku 2 Melee, but we're seeing why he is just such a strong player overall, regardless of the unit that you put him on.
Yeah, we actually saw, I think Carl Sagan was on Ashamar on this previous map, at the very minimum on defense. It's a little bit hard to see all the switches that go on, but we have seen, I think, like 4 at least suits from Carl Sagan over the course of this tournament alone, which is very, very impressive. And a lot of them that don't play super similar. We've of course seen, well, you know, going back to seeing a Zakutu melee player now being almost primarily like sniper players playing the turn A and the GM sniper on the, like, for the Harbor match that we saw yesterday, and then seeing now, you know, like the Ashamar. It's just like this is clearly a player that can kind of do whatever they want, and that's super important on a team that needs to be flexible, and clearly it is paying off. But I'm excited to see how this matchup changes, especially with the team comps, right? We could see a lot more close range team comps, and we are actually going to see potentially the RX-78, which is I don't think we saw in the last map.
I believe no. Bork Gundam were playing the RX-78. That's
you're right,
the big swap off that I was really asking for, right? They were doing this as well on Monster and RMD, I believe. Where we were talking about the Hyper Hammer can be great as an option up against the Sazabi, but on the other side, yeah, Team Sucky Vacuums are going to stick with old standard, but they do have actually turn A coming in favor of the Ashamar instead, and Legacy gets burned down, so the Hyper Hammer, immediate value for him, as Tism will also go down to that Exia.
Oh, everybody's going down. Almost everybody on both teams now. I think there's only about 3 people left up in the match at this point. That was one of the closest trades, but it does seem like, I believe it was Bork Gundam that had more people up at the end of this. No, wait. Yes, yeah. It is Team Bork Gundam that is up at the end of this. They got a few people on point, but this is going to really come down to what kind of happens in the second fight.
They've already established themselves here on the high ground. They need a little bit of help with that Hyper Hammer up top, but they end up losing out on the Mephis in the back, falling backwards. 1 HP, he will fall, but just before he does end up getting that res, it's going to be a re-knock onto him, and now the point is still getting fought over. We got 30 more seconds remaining here, it seems. Here's the res out onto Nox, and so with all that done, Team Sucky Vacuums will get right back onto the points, and it does flip, and so they'll get fairly close to it, only about a 9% difference before this one goes on over to C. And you can see now they're going to retake height for themselves and get ready for that transition over to C while picking up some more kills.
Oh, that's great. And the fact that it's a stagger too, they took out about half the team. And so, for example, right here, if they get this pick, there's just nobody to back that player up. And of course, we've talked about a million times before. I'll say it again. If you're winning at A, you're winning at C immediately. It takes literally 2 seconds to get over, and immediately destroying the RX-78 G maneuver. There's no chance of throwing that out into the open without it getting destroyed.
Yeah, that super napalm just finds itself so vulnerable, but the Ashmar punch right into the back line. Lexi stays alive. Nox ends up falling here as Voice ends up picking that one up, but they have ended up losing out on that high ground, and that push after the opening from that Ashmar punch is absolutely huge now, and they are scrambling to get onto the point. It's going to be Bork Gundam actually starting things off, and the Trans Am gets popped a little bit early here, but the overhead throw, and he gets shut down.
Oh, what a high value overhead throw. That's the perfect way you want to see it. And then Bitey's going to go down as well. That is going to be such a turnaround to completely waste that Trans Am. Great reactions, and Bork Gundam, of course, is going to take control of the point after that amazing exchange. They are going to be controlling that high ground, as you can see right there. Having the Dom on the high ground in particular is huge, because shooting down to the bottom of these ramps is exactly the range and the AoE size that Dom loves.
Unfortunately here for Bork, they ended up actually burning a few unnecessary, I would say, G maneuvers, and one crucial one is going to be that Screaming Nimbus. They don't have the Ashmar punch available to them, and so they don't really have an engage here, but it's just going to be a dry fight ultimately, as the Screaming Nimbus does get popped from the Team Sucky Vacuum side. They have taken the lead in this round so far, as we will be going back on over to point A.
Yeah, we do see, it looks like on the UI, 5 different G maneuvers available here for Team Sucky Vacuums. That is pretty impressive, but we don't necessarily need to see all of them used, right? I'm sure they could win a fight with all of them used, but let's see how they can effectively save as many as possible.
Yeah, again, they have these G maneuvers that just single-handedly can win the fight if they find an opening. Oh no, Tism ends up going down, and he is one of the best players when it comes to clearing out that super napalm. Unfortunately for that Bork side, he You don't get any value off of it. Carl Sagan comes in, though, with that butterfly, and we'll be able to clear out the rest of the squad. And that's what we were talking about. Just try to hold on to just a few G maneuvers here and there. Nox ends up finding one more as Exponent will fall. The point gets flipped once again, but this has been a war of attrition. No one has had a clear win on either A or C, and we're going back to C once more.
This is easily the most back and forth that we've seen on this map, I think, so far. And yeah, they're just both so good at clearing out the point, saving their G maneuvers. Team Sucky Vacuum still saving nearly every G maneuver that they have, which is a very, very smart choice. Of course, once they get to this final point, that could be the win or lose deciding factor. And right now, this super aggressive hold, which we've seen quite often on this map, is working really well. They're definitely going to hold A towards essentially the end. It's going to move back over to C again. No B spawns at all, which is for some reason something that happens a decent amount on this map, but this has to be the big G maneuver moment once this unlocks in about 20 seconds.
Yeah, Exponent, we'll see. Last time he went head first into a turn A. This time around, he just gets into the back line, creates so much havoc, and is able to back away just in time. That's a 1-for-1 exchange, though. The Gundam has gone down, but that's for that Pale Rider. 33 HP. This time, Exponent will fall. Out popping that Trans Am. He will be able to come back into this fight with it. Again, Team Sucky Vacuums have been fairly disciplined with their G maneuver usage overall. That Pale Rider forced to that low ground does have the heal of the Methus along with that heal pot, but it's not enough. The Hades is going to come in. Tism finds one before he gets shut down by that RX-78. Now we're at 92, 93%. Someone has to get onto the point.
Yeah, and we still have the funnels available. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The funnels just barely used right as I said that. My bad. We're about to have Screaming Nimbus available, which is, of course, one of the best defensive options. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Besides that's going to be available on the offensive side, so we need to see that to take this point.
Now, getting back on, they have to flip this one on over, send it on into extra time, and then hold out basically until 100%. He's got the fancy feet on there, actually dodging out on a lot of damage, but it looks like they will be able to flip it for now. They've got the Super Napalm along with the energy cable here for that Pale Rider. If they want to try and pop it onto him, he's at 51% towards his ultimate. Maybe actually go to actually use it on to the Ashmar to get the extra damage to grab that punch. It doesn't matter though. Keiki finds one on that respawn. You can see the Exia in the back line. Exponent does go down, but he's buying time for his team. It was a 2-for-1 exchange. The Pale Rider overextended and he goes down.
Yeah, this is not going to be a full team versus team fight, but it has to happen very, very soon. I don't even know if Team Sucky Vacuums has enough time to wait for the full respawns before they push this point. It doesn't look like they're going to attempt it. We're going to see just everything being popped, every single thing here. There is no more time. The res barely even had time to get off. It's team going to be going back to Team Sucky Vacuums, I believe, and this is going to be a 99 and 99%, almost undoubtedly.
Nox and Carl Sagan have fallen, and Tism has gone down, and Bork are starting to walk away with this one. Last little bit of extra time ticks down, and Bork will go ahead and take round number 1.
Wow, it was again down to 99.9 to 99.9%. We've seen that one more time on this map. That was last month in Halloween Havoc, and I believe it was in Arizaki versus Powerpuff Girls, but that was such a back and forth, and it wasn't even a back and forth of like, we're taking this entire point, you're taking this entire point, we're taking this entire point. It was like they were fighting back and forth for every single point. This is what I more expected from these two teams. I still think, looking back, that we may have just had a map unfamiliarity issue going into that Ministry of Defense, which is understandable. But this time, this is the match that I'm trying to see. That is a sick one.
No, I completely agree, because again, it was already a surprise for us to see that map actually slip through the ban phase and then get first picked by our first C team and Team Sucky Vacuums. And so I think Bork were definitely caught off guard by that Ministry of Defense. And we know that, like, again, if you're not as experienced as with the map depth, right, that, yeah, Ministry of Defense is just something that can completely get away from you. But here we go. We didn't see B at all, and we're going to be starting off with B in round number 2. And this one plays out a little bit different. Ashmar doesn't get the same kind of setup when you're trying to fight over the high ground, but it looks like it's going to be Team Sucky Vacuum starting it off with the first knock. There's a res from Alternate, but Bitey ends up going down throughout all of that one. Overall, it seems like it's going to be Team Sucky Vacuums with the man advantage until that res comes through onto Listic.
This is how every single fight has gone, though. It's just been downs on both sides. Like, there's just no single big, easy win team fight. This is just a complete trade over and over. As you can see, they're about 4-4 on the point right here, maybe even 3-3. And we're going to see a little bit of retreat, trying to get back into that choke point. But unfortunately, once you do retreat into that choke point, it's very hard to find an easy way back in. Using verticality through the center is a really good option, but here we go. Oh, so many fish in a barrel here for the Exia, but not going to be able to finish any of them off.
Yeah, he does end up going down. That's going to be 2 actually going down on the side of Team Bork. But again, they just need to play delay here on point B. They don't need a full commit onto team fights. They can just slowly bleed out units. Instead, they end up giving it up. And now it's going to go back on over towards Team Sucky Vacuums, who are about to tie things up 17-17. Fairly shortly here. We're going to be going over to point C. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky for the team that does maintain control over point B. How exactly do you make this transition? You want to back away towards spawn side, and it looks like that's what they will do, and now make their way on over to that C point.
Yeah, I feel like that makes a lot of sense, but we already have such strong positioning here, just holding that high ground, and whoever rotates first, this is worth it to lose more points, but wow, that energy cable is going to go to waste immediately. Such a good focus. That Ashimar is in a very scary position. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get out of there unscathed.
Oh, the Exia gets into the back line, finds 2, and now Bork are fighting back into things, as Carl Sagan does end up getting the res onto Tism, so there might be an opportunity for them to now try and fight over the high ground. You can see the pings going down. Alternate has fallen. A turn A Gundam coming out from Carl Sagan, finding a lot of value. I have to imagine that he's close to that butterfly for himself as the point unlocks. And we'll go ahead and take it for now. That's going to be Team Sucky Vacuums with a clear lead, but they fight off the point and they actually flip it back on over. The turn A butterfly does come in because they did not like losing that point.
Yeah, again, like I said, they're just flipping back and forth, even on single points. But you can see here, we've got Team Sucky Vacuum holding to such a strong high ground position once again. This is going to go back to B after this. They have to worry about it, but still about 30 seconds left, so we'll talk about that later. Of course, instantly, that RX-78 G maneuver going down, and this is going to be a full 5v5 fight for that high ground. Interestingly enough, Team Sucky Vacuum's jumping down and giving up that positioning.
Again, this is just one of those spots where you don't have to completely just fight over it and have a full team wipe. You can just slowly bleed out. You can just slowly bleed out, and it's going to become a war of attrition. But someone actually gets off the point, and so it does go over to Bork, but it's only a few ticks that they'll end up getting. It's 66-27, essentially, after all of this. And now it's Team Sucky Vacuums with a clear lead and already in position for point B. D has gone down. They're finding the staggers on the Team Sucky Vacuum side as the Exia tries to find an opening, but he has to back away because their team ends up losing out on one more.
Yeah, just trying to get a few more hits in, maybe build up some of that G maneuver meter, but it is going to be at full now. Barely escapes, which is the Exia classic, and so we might see this Trans Am go actually immediately right there. Thank you for listening to me. Let's see how many we can pick off with this. This is still a really scary spot, but they're all entering from different angles. That's why this can be so strong at this point. That's 2 down at the very minimum, but finally focused out.
The boys show up and slide in as a 3-man there to finish him off. But it was a great defensive hold coming out from Team Sucky Vacuums. Of course, starting it all off with that Screaming Nimbus and then following it up with that Hades. Just such a potent combo. Create space for your Hades, who's already doing massive amounts of damage. We'll go ahead and pop on that Hades, do even more. And now we're at 85%. You can see the drop down, but it's instantly thwarted, biting the first one to fall. But once again, somehow Exponent is always finding these picks, and now the man advantage coming out from Bork. But they have to play for overtime. They have to play for C. And we're going to have that transition once more, and all Team Sucky Vacuums needs is about 5% to send this over to round number 3.
Well, just taking it for that much time was huge, actually, for Bork, because that means that they cannot win on that B position, and it seems like B has been pretty well controlled by Team Sucky Vacuums. I know that Bork wants to get back to the C point, and they do have this one final opportunity. That is going to be an Exia going down. This team has been so good at targeting Exponent in particular, just like not allowing that Exia to sneak out a single time. The turn A G maneuver is going to be huge, and it's going to fly so far above everybody's heads. It's going to be so hard to target, and that is going to be a really great position for the opening of this point C, and they only need 1.3% more. Will they get it immediately?
And I don't think they have any G maneuvers on the defensive side. Legacy ends up cleaning up Exponent once again, and the Super Napalm was there, but it was just way too late. Team Sucky Vacuums doing a great job here, and really when it came down to our A and C fights, it looked 50-50 in both of our rounds, right? Going either
Mhm.
way. But once it came down to that B site, it seemed like Team Sucky Vacuums did have a better grasp of how to play that one out.
Yeah, I think too, it may be a little bit of a team comp thing. I do see Sazabis do quite well on that point, and we do see, we saw in, like, for example, some of the team fights, like, you know, when we did have that funny moment where like two suits slid in at the end and took out the Exia, that we saw like Legacy was one of the ones there, and he'd already helped in taking out the pretty much the rest of the suits on the team of Bork's side. So I think just it's very hard to get around a big shield unit in such a small space unless you're particularly targeting it. And as we saw, you know, the Exia with the great options with the melee was definitely targeting some other things. So it might be a team comp thing. Turn A as well, of course, can get a ton of collateral damage within those tiny little hallways. It's a very, very common thing with only a few little openings. So we'll see what happens immediately, because we're starting off here on point B, and it's match point for Team Sucky Vacuums.
Marasai pickup as well. So this is going to be interesting now as they try to charge on in forward, get that initial pick, but you can see either side actually joining in from different corners here. Exia going in, but he's only got 61 HP. Mighty and Exponent down. So a good defensive hold coming out now from Team Sucky Vacuums. Point's going to unlock in 10 more seconds. They're winning out this fight handedly, finally losing their first unit, but it's just Listic going down, and they should be able to get him back up. That's almost a full team wipe, and they only lose out on one.
Yeah, this is just immediately looking so strong. It has been really hard to kind of fight this this coordinated team push here, and of course this ridiculous Pale Rider tracking, which will always impress me. Impressed me last month, impressed me this month as well. And you can see immediately just all the headshots in the world. You can't even take the high ground against this Pale Rider. It is always this Pale Rider's turn.
Yeah, and he's able to just funnel them in, right? Glitch will go down, though. Marside might have been able to find that hook on in. Exponent trying to find his way into the back line. It was a double flank coming out from the Marasai along with that Exia. Now, as they try to get onto the point, Bork will get thwarted. They just actually step off the point for just a split second there and ended up not flipping it. So it's going to be almost full value for Team Sucky Vacuums here on B. What was a little bit more of a split here on B is going all the way now for Team Sucky Vacuums as we swap on over to point A.
Yeah, it's looking to be the exact same thing that we said before. B is just really Team Sucky Vacuum's spot. So again, Bork Gundam needs to just take control of this A side. They need to get there preemptively somewhat if they can. Of course, it's a little bit too late for that now, but they need to just take control and just run with it here and hope that we just get A to C spawns for a while, because that B spot's not working out for them. But right now, they got to fight through this super offensive hold.
Yeah, but importantly here for Team Sucky Vacuums is that they basically find 3 staggers. Carl Sagan does end up going down, but it's a 2-for-1 exchange for him, and his 5-man team is still up here on the high ground, maintaining that glitch, ends up getting hooked in and taken out. And so now things are looking a little bit dire. Exponent has popped that Trans Am, but he hasn't been able to go in quite yet. And he still has to worry about the threat of that turn A Gundam. As the point unlocks, it is going to be Team Sucky Vacuums that do have position over it. Moist ends up finding one. Carl Sagan has gone down. The Hades has been popped by Tism, but he doesn't find enough quite yet. Staggering through just a little bit, and now they're finding it a little bit difficult to finish off this fight, but they ultimately will. Now it looks like things might actually turn in their favor, as this time around it's not going to go back over to B, it's actually going over to C.
Yeah, this is the one big chance for Bork Gundam to stay in this. They are going to have such good positioning here. They're holding the high ground. They're holding a little bit closer here with the Exia, which is going to be, like I said, such a good option. Wow, great mobility, honestly, from Legacy right there to not get hit by the melee attack. Just hearing maybe the charge, using that audio cue, it's very, very smart to stand at that corner like that. But we'll see if that can help them push and retake this spot, as he's moving to C immediately.
Woohoo! He dodges out on that overhead throw, but Nox is right behind to finish him off. It's still a war of attrition here as Carl Sagan does get brought back into this one. So now they lose a little bit of presence here on the high ground. Point swapping on over to C. It's 63 to 28%. And now they need to make sure on this cross that they're able to spam them out. And you can see that they do have that Dom up there just to spam them out and create a lot of space, buy enough time for the full team to regroup here on the high ground. We do have the turn A Gundam, but here's the Screaming Nimbus to buy some time, buy some space as this team goes ahead and backs off. Carl Sagan has been finished off, but D ends up giving his life for it. They've got the Hades behind this for Keiki, and now it looks like in these outer fights, it is going to be Bork that comes out ahead.
Yeah, they've lost a lot of their damage. They've only got a few suits left. Well, I'm sorry, on the side of Team Sucky Vacuums, they only got a few suits left to try and push this. So we are going to see probably a regroup, which is the smartest choice right here. But this is, I mean, I was saying it, this is exactly what needs to happen. They need to find a way to retake, especially this high ground. We haven't seen any pushes from the other side while somebody's holding either A or C, which is something that we've seen a lot in the other maps. But right now, it's not happening. We're seeing, a great pick, though, on the Exia once again. Exponent has just been targeted down so efficiently over the rest of this map, and now the high ground going to Team Sucky Vacuums. We'll see if that works, as we can see so many people going down to that turn A.
Yeah, it is going to be swapping on over to A, by the way. So we're going to stay outside, and that actually might be the finish of this game. I believe, yeah, it's going to be the last point to fight over. You can see the value once again being placed onto this high ground, making sure that Tism can succeed on this Pale Rider from here. But Exponent has been doing such a great job of just being a constant nuisance and a threat. You can see now he gets into the back, actually misses out on his stun, and that's a charge forward from the other side as he needs to back away. 119 HP. He gets chased down into spawn, and now things are looking pretty bad, but actually it looks like the point unlocks. It's going to be A to finish things off here.
Yeah, we are going to see Team Sucky Vacuum holding this initially. Things, once again, are looking so close to each other. This is going to be essentially the final push. They need to make it happen here. They're pushing directly up the ramp towards the high ground, and immediately we're going to see 2 players on the side of Bork go down, 3 players go down. Tism gets traded, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Keki goes down as well, and I think that's probably going to be it. Only 1 player left up on the side of Bork, and there's 5% left. If they can get on point, maybe they can get one more push, but this is going to be tough.
Yeah, someone needs to touch right now. 99% overtime ticking away, and someone does touch. That means they're staggering in. Moist, Exponent, Bitey, Alternate, all down. And you can see the rallying cry at the end around that turn A, around Carl Sagan. It's going to be Team Sucky Vacuums. It was a close one here in our second map, but it's still the 2-0 for them to move on to the grand finals.
Yeah, that was, again, though, that was the match that I wanted to see between these two. For sure, these teams are very, very close in skill, and I'm really excited to see what happens if potentially they do match up against each other again in the grand finals, which is very, very possible, assuming one of the two can overtake Powerpuff Girls. But that was a very clear, story, right, of that map. We talked about it. Most of the map, B was 100% going to Team Sucky Vacuums. Clearly, as a team, Bork needs to kind of figure out a strategy more for that point. Just whatever they're doing isn't particularly working against Team Sucky Vacuums, whether it's a team comp thing, whether it's a targeting thing. We saw a lot of EXO going around and making these dives, and there wasn't a coordinated push alongside it. So I'm not sure if they need to push, or there needs to be less of an offensive strategy, or what. It's just something, right? I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough at this game, obviously, to find out the answer, but for whatever it was, it just wasn't their site. And the other sites they were doing great at. They almost made the entire comeback just because it went from A to C to A. So whatever they're doing on those sites, perfect. You can improve upon them, obviously, but you don't need to worry about them. Whatever they can do on B, they have some time to think about it, right? They've got another set. They're still in the losers bracket, and if they do end up on this map again, they got another chance to try it. But Team Sucky Vacuums, with their all-star squad, unsurprisingly, will be our team in the grand finals on the top side.
And for me, I mean, watching that map over again, it just kind of came down to just a few small mistakes. I'm not trying to harp on Exponent. I think Exponent was doing a great job, but he was just missing a few stuns here or there that would have been crucial, would have been the difference makers when it came to this, and they would have sent it over to a map 3 if he just landed one more stun with that Exia, I feel like, but he was doing an amazing job throughout that entire map, I would say, creating so much space for his squad. The difference was ultimately in the end that Team Sucky Vacuums did have very good discipline when it came around their G maneuver usage. They also had just a lot more impactful ones, particularly Carl Sagan on that turn A Gundam was able to find a lot of value across all the rounds, basically, when it came to that G maneuver. We did see the Ashmar getting a little bit of value, but I feel like at this point, maybe the Ashmar might not be the pick for them, or that Marasai also didn't get as much value. So I don't know. There are a lot of different ways that Team Bork could have approached it. Still, though, I think it was a great match between the two squads.
It was. One last thing I got to point out is that I really think too, though, that a lot of those stunts were missed because not necessarily because of like a lack of like aiming the correct area, but because team oh my, I almost called them Team Legacy, team Sucky Vacuums, including Legacy, they showed that they were extremely aware of playing defensively against Exia. There were two really clear moments to me. One was on, it was either point A or point C, they're so similar, kind of like going into that very first choke point from the spawn. We saw Legacy pop out and then immediately dash back and dodge preemptively, basically, an entire Exia dash attack. And also, there was a point where they were holding, it was Tism in particular, was holding a like really far forward hold on B, kind of near the upper ramp, and knew that the Exia was up at the top of the ramp and popped out and shot and then immediately dashed back and then dodged an entire dash attack again as well. So I think that the entirety of Team Sucky Vacuums is just so ready to fight these Exias. And if you don't have players that are obviously, there's ways to punish that, like you wait for them to dash, you dash forward and you hit them instead, but you have to be ready for that level of counterplay to upgrade to the next level of counterplay. So it's great to see that super amazing play from Team Sucky Vacuums, and they definitely earned their spot there. But it's still all up in the air because we do have, of course, losers finals coming up next, but that is going to be after a short break. So we will be having Team Bork going up against Team Powerpuff Girls. You're not going to want to miss that, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.